There's a huge difference between a sensually awakened woman who is in touch with her sexuality and someone with leaky Shakti. And already from the name you can tell what this means, but in this video I'm going to be getting into the in-depth understanding of what leaky Shakti is, how to identify it, and also how to transmute it. Because while it may not initially sound too dangerous, it is the energy of creation and destruction. So leaky Shakti is power without containment. It's force without direction. And when something is strong and has no direction, it can then not only disturb what is external, but also create a distortion. And while leaky Shakti may act like it is empowered, it moves like a wildfire. It spreads like a wildfire. It's erratic, unstable. It's desperate, and it seeks to devour. This energy is not magnetic, it more so repels energy. And of course it will attract and magnetize whatever is toxically aligned with that frequency as well, but ultimately it does not serve because it does repel what is actually good. Women who have mastered this energy can also sense the leaky Shakti immediately because they know that true power is harnessed. It is intentionally directed, and it's not leaked or scattered. It's not allowed to spill out any and every which way. So this is the difference between being lost in the storm and being the storm itself. And so when women stop leaking their Shakti and they stop having a leaky Shakti energy, they really become unstoppable. They become a force of creation, not distortion. And so you may know someone who has leaky Shakti energy, especially if you're in any spiritual communities. You've most likely observed people with leaky Shakti energy. And now, as I mentioned previously, there is a sense of connection to your sensuality and sexuality the people with leaky Shakti also have, so it can be temporarily perceived that way or manipulated to be portrayed that way, where it is this awakened, sensually connected and expressive being. Now, there's a very fine line between that, but it is also extremely loud. It's, again, not hard to identify when someone has leaky Shakti energy and it is just spilling out. Now, babes, ladies, queens, feminine beings of light, we want to harness our sexual and sensual energy. It is about awakening it and feeling it and expressing it, but in an intentional way. When we do just leak the energy every which because we're excited about it and we realize, wow, this is such a power. I can totally feel into like, okay, I see why the leaky Shakti beings do that. Because to an extent, it does magnetize certain things to you, but it's not the right things. Everything on earth is craving feminine energy. It is the mother energy, it is the maiden energy, it is beauty, it is life force, it is creation. Feminine energy is just craved and desired here on earth. So again, if you are just like dealing that out every which way, of course you will be attracting things, you will be magnetizing things, but repelling the things that are actually of value. That which is also harnessed and contained, because the leaky Shakti energy does kind of suffocate that which is pure. It overrides it, because again, it has no boundaries. Therefore, it can be dangerous. And as we know, sensual and sexual energy has been feared for eons in the Bible and religions, and certain cultures demonize sexuality. That is because it is such a powerful force. That's why it is vital that you are harnessing your energy, your Shakti frequency, and not allowing it to leak out everywhere. So leaky Shakti is this energy of life force creation, yet without the right direction. So it's not wild, it's reckless. It's reckless. It doesn't hold the right kind of power. Yes, it is a fire, but it burns and turns to ash everything in its path, including itself. It will ultimately burn out if it is leaked, if it is not harnessed with intention. This is not to be prude, it's to have an intention with your energy, to be aware of the energy that you are giving out when you are connected to your feminine frequency. And so while Leaky Shakti is feminine frequency, it's disconnected from its root, from its core source. It's searching for something external, seeking to fill its own void, where feminine energy at its finest is that life-giving force. It's not looking to spill out, to grab and seek. Again, it only requires that which is divinely aligned and refined. So this is also why some beings are literally repelling to others. And it doesn't really make sense because they're beautiful and they have a nice body and they're essentially connected and they do look so beautiful and sexual, but for some reason they can never keep a partner, or people never want to be with them long term. There's a reason for that. Or maybe it's that friends don't feel safe with them or around their partners with that friend. Because again, we know Shakti energy is the most powerful frequency and force. And so again, when it's leaked, when it's leaky, it doesn't matter how integral other things are. I mean, it really actually does. But still, that force is so powerful, it can still overflow and barrel out and create distortions in the entire field. It is that powerful. And so a lot of us are familiar with this energy and know people who have this energy where it just doesn't feel safe with them. It doesn't feel like you can trust them in this space. And so that woman who is beautiful and sensually awakened and yet for some reason is repelling, it's because that energy feels hungry. Again, it feels desperate. It is trying to seek to devour. So ultimately, the masculine does not vibe with that. No energy vibes with that because it doesn't feel safe to the masculine either. It destroys as much as it creates. It acts empowered, but it is really just loud. And it really does end up burning connections, relationships, trust, opportunities, future experiences. It creates an isolation because when something doesn't feel safe, it is uncontained, and yet it does hold a power, just not the right kind of power. It doesn't feel good to others. It also thrives on disorder and creating distortion, because if there was a stillness, it would have to sit with the void of itself, and that is essentially what it's trying to fill. When divine feminine energy knows that that void is the space of creation, that void is the womb, it is space, it is the space of all creation. So we want to be able to sit with that, not have to constantly seek, leak out, and then try to fill. And really, it's not lost power, it's misplaced power. And when it is harnessed and directed and refined, still raw in a divinely sense of a way, but not leaky, refined, harnessed, contained, it then becomes unstoppable. It becomes invincible. So if you find someone, if you come into contact with someone with Leaky Shakti energy, the best way to dissolve it is really to address it in a beautiful way. And so if you find that you do have Leaky Shakti energy, first off, you can come into stillness. Silence holds power. Feel into if there is something that you are avoiding or trying to fill a void. Hold your presence and let your energy speak before your words do. And contain your desires. Not everything needs to be shared or expressed. You can harness and hold things for yourself that actually increases and builds the potency. That is how you work into mastery. So move with intention and not impulse. Power is felt in restraint. You want to be acting out of choice and not out of need. Let go of the need to be seen. Instead, become the kind of presence that is felt, respected, and remembered, even in stillness, even in silence. That is the true power of feminine energy. And if you come across someone or are dealing with someone with Leaky Shakti energy, don't engage in the chaos. Instead, stay connected to your own energy and your own frequency. If it feels like it's unstable, it probably is. It most likely is. If it feels like it's Leaky Shakti energy, it most likely is. Trust your intuition. Then protect your energy and don't let it drain you. Call your energy back to you. And you'll most likely need to state and hold your boundaries tight, because again, Leaky Shakti does not honor boundaries. So you're going to be called to set boundaries and to speak verbally and physically create boundaries if necessary. Also, don't try to save it because it will drown you with it. It doesn't need saving. Leaky Shakti needs containment, and only it itself can create that containment and can harness itself. And again, just stay in your power. Let your frequency be such a contrast to their energy that it is felt, that it is noticed. And then eventually it will begin to learn how to contain itself. So I'm curious, have you experienced leaky Shakti energy, or have you even personally observed yourself having leaky Shakti energy? I actually have a really good friend who she has noticed, and we've had so many conversations about it, that she herself has leaky Shakti energy, and she has experienced friends breaking up with her essentially because they don't feel safe around their boyfriends with her. And so it's been really cool for her to acknowledge and to see that and to harness her own energy, and she totally has. And there's a complete transformation in her whole frequency, her whole field. So I'm curious, have you experienced it, or have you experienced it personally? Go ahead and share in the comments, because I think this is a really important topic, something that people should know about, and especially in the awakened sensual spiritual community, it's so vital that there's this awareness around feminine frequency and harnessing it, holding it. And as always, it's an honor to connect with you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Like this video, please leave a comment, say hello, and I'm sending you so much love always. Infinite blessings. Namaste.